Hello and welcome to another Starting Grid. I'm Ian Garty. Coming up in tonight's programme, it's Pure Speed as we revisit Paul Jackson on the drag racing scene. Also take a look at the University Motorsport team as they prepare for their forthcoming test session. I'll check out some of the latest deals when it comes to insuring your first new car, and my advanced driving techniques course takes me out for a spot of nighttime driving. But first, motor journalism. Is it a life of fast cars and glamorous birds? Take a look in our weekly guide of how to get into motor journalism. So do you think motor journalism could be your thing? Writing about fast cars? Going to all the motor shows maybe? Well, we met up with the guys of Sports Car magazine at their launch at the NEC in Birmingham for their tips. First, we met up with Martin Foster, who is the editor of the magazine.
I went through the traditional journalistic route really. I joined the local newspaper. I had always been interested in cars, so I made that very clear on the newspaper, and I soon got involved in doing road tests for the newspaper. The important thing about getting into motoring journalism, I think, is to recognise that it's two words, motoring and journalism, and it's the journalism part which is most important. So really the best advice I can give is for anybody trying to get into journalism, which is to show an interest from a very early age, wherever possible, because it's a very competitive field. A lot of people want to do it, so you've got to show and prove that you're more able to do it than your competition. So if you can get involved in a school magazine, if you can get involved in college magazines and so on, from there on, really the traditional route, as I said, is through local newspapers.
Good advice, but we wanted more, so we asked Steve Hull, the magazine's archivist and researcher, what he did to get where he is.
Very unorthodox, if you like. I'm not a trained journalist. I got English qualifications at school. Got into publishing about 20 years ago. Enthusiasm and my love is cars. I just bombarded letters and articles and can I do anything to various magazines. Martin and myself have known each other for about 17 years, and Martin took a sympathetic view to a person that loves cars, a petrol head, and basically ran my features to start with, and it's progressed from there really, and I now contribute to other magazines as well. It seems like it's one of those things impossible to get into, always closed doors. But if you, like I did, if you approach magazines, start with specialist titles, the magazines that would sell something like lower numbers, but they're the real die-hard enthusiasts, those guys. Just bombard them with letters, just bombard, knock on doors, say I'm here, I can do this. And if you've got an enthusiasm for cars, you like cars, you've got to have a certain knowledge. You've got to do your homework. And that's my advice really, don't give up.
Finally, we found the publisher, Alan Morgan. What's a publisher, we hear you cry?
What does a publisher do? A lot of people ask that. It's all about putting the whole product together. So I'm overall in charge of advertising and editorial and making sure the magazine matches up to the market which we're aiming it at. I started off by selling advertising space many years ago, which got me into media, and just worked up from there, being around at the right time and I think wanting the next job and then sticking at it and being lucky enough to get the breaks. It's funny, there's a shortage of bright young talent at the moment, and I'd like to see more youngsters coming into the business, particularly journalists, particularly photographers, who can bring a fresh approach to the subject which I'm writing about.
Some great advice there from people in the industry itself. Next week we'll be looking at how to get into car mechanics. Hello and welcome to your weekly guide to finding your first set of wheels. This week, paying for the motor of your dreams. Now, unless mummy and daddy gift wrap a Ferrari for your 18th birthday, you'll probably need to use one of the finance deals around. Many new cars offer low interest or interest-free deals when it comes to buying your first car. Very attractive at first, but you'll need a huge deposit. Then there's the £300 a month or so repayments on top of that, which soon become a huge millstone around your neck. Plus, depreciation when it comes to selling your new car. If you're not certain as to your earning potential in a few years' time, play safe with a cheaper used car. However, if you're confident you can keep up the repayments, it may be cheaper to shop around and borrow the cash off a traditional finance company as a personal loan. It's up to you. Some lenders have packages similar to the main dealer half a car scheme. The monthly payments are small, and then after the term you only own half the car. A big balloon payment makes the vehicle actually yours. With any kind of finance deal, always take the paperwork home and read the small print. Ignore the monthly payments. Work out exactly how much you'll spend over the set term. Now it's time to take a look at the I word, insurance. Now if you're young, many insurance companies think you're irresponsible. Not always true, but what you are is inexperienced. That's why an advanced driving course helps. Many insurance companies offer young drivers a discount for completing that course. Choice of a sensible car helps too. Now put it this way, who's less likely to have an accident in the eyes of an insurance company? A 20-year-old who wants to wazz around in his Golf GTI, or a 17-year-old who's passed his test first time, has got no points on his licence, has an advanced motoring certificate and wants to drive a base Astra? Makes sense, doesn't it? So once you've chosen your car after a test drive, which you must find out if you're covered for, start getting quotes. If this seems a pain, isn't it worth spending a few hours of calling and surfing to save what may be hundreds of pounds over the lifetime of the car? Some insurance companies are young driver friendly and can give you a far better deal than the ones which are aimed at, say, older women. If you haven't chosen a car yet, then look at some of the insurance websites where you put in your details and get a rough quote online. Change the car, then see how that quote changes. You get absolutely astonishing variations. Put in a Dodge Viper for a laugh to see what your insurance would be to drive that. Sometimes it's no fun being young. That's it for insurance and finance. Next week we'll take a look at what to look for in a test drive.
For some people, the joy of being on two wheels is enough. For others, it's actually helping people to get there. We're here at Arrow Rider Training Centre in Chester to see exactly how Steve Newby has made a successful business out of this.
Well, I decided to become an instructor originally back in 1995. I'd passed my motorcycle test in 1992 and I just had a lot of fun learning to ride and learning to pass my test, and I thought, that seems like quite a cushy job, and how wrong I was.
All students must complete a CBT lesson. This ranges from balancing a bike to more advanced controls such as U-turns. Steve's unique philosophical approach to training his staff is clearly seen in how efficiently his students pick up the skills.
You can ride a motorcycle at two different levels. There's learner level, and then you can ride as a full licence holder. To ride as a learner, you must complete compulsory basic training, and that entitles you to go off and ride up to a 125cc bike. You can't carry passengers, use motorways, and you must ride without plates displayed at that stage. If you want to go on to be a full licence holder, you'll need to complete and pass a theory test for the motorcycle and then a practical test which enables you to hold a full licence.
After completing the morning CBT and compulsory theory lessons, students take to the road under instruction to put their learning to the test.
Well, your CBT certificate is valid for 2 years at a time. A theory test pass certificate, that's valid for 2 years as well. So you've got quite a while to get through, but most people want it there and then that summer, So our courses, we can get people through it in as little as 2 or 3 days.
I really have the feeling I can ride a bike now, and it's nice to actually ride rather than just having to do the U-turns and little streets. I did a CBT, that was 1 day, and then it's a 3-day course, and I'm on the 2nd day now, so tomorrow's my last day. And hopefully I should be able to do my test then.
No messing about, it was all business, get down to it, the job in hand and get it done pro.
Well, that's it from me and Arrow Rider Training Centre. I hope we've encouraged a few more of you to get out there and go for it.
Just pure fun. That's all it comes down to, pure fun.
That's it for part 1. Join us in a couple of minutes as we revisit Paul Jackson and I test out my skills on my all-weather driving course. See you soon. Welcome back to part 2 of Starting Grid. Let's head straight off to the drag circuit and catch up with Paul Jackson and see how he's doing.
For a mover like Paul, the worst place to be is in limbo. His mind, like his dragster's engine, needs to be active. As the dark clouds retreat, safety officials are quick to give the go-ahead. It's time to race.
We're going to go down the track, we're going to get you signed on, we're going to have some fun. First run was, I thought I'd done like a 4-second pass, do you know what I mean? But it was like 17 seconds or something. Okay, wow, I see that, and everyone was like laughing at me. I thought I was doing like 150, I was only doing like 70 at the end of the track. But it's also, you're only like a couple of inches off the floor and it's all mad, all people watching you, that. It seems a lot madder than it is sometimes, sort of thing. But like, as soon as if you do get nervous, when you get to the finish line and you're like, wow, I want to get straight back around and do it again, sort of thing, it's such a buzz. The adrenaline pumps and you feel like mad, but you just want to get out there and do it. Oh, this is the car inside. Got the quick release steering wheel, so if I'm upside down in a field I can get out quickly, and in general terms I can get in and out a lot easier. Plug in the micro switch. I'm ready to go. Start it up, you've got your gear shifter here. What happens is you roll through the water, you go for your burnout. Press this button, which brings the chip up. I've got a computer system on the front of it, and it brings the chip up, it revs it to about 5,000 revs. I let go of the button, and you're flying forward doing the burnout. I shift it into second on the burnout. You can roll it past the start line, then you stop. You reverse it back, if you can do it. Reverse back down on past the start line. My dad comes round, checks I'm okay, checks the engine. Takes the parachute safety pin out. Sound, goes back to the start line, I'm ready to do the run.
Hello there! Now, already on Starting Grid, we've seen an in-depth look into the fabulous world of motoring journalism, and if you read my column, you'll be aware already that I'm very successful in that very field. But today, I'm making the big step into television to see if I can make it as a TV motoring presenter, and you can join me for my interview.
Oh, hang on. Come in! Yeah, I've got to go. Big Hallam's here. Ciao!
Is it Graeme?
Hey, Rob!
Fantastic.
How you doing, son?
Can I take a seat?
As long as you put it back afterwards.
Oh, a comedian. I like that. So, Graeme, if I may cut to the chase.
Please do.
We're doing the old column thing for about 7 years now, and I think it's time that I go to TV. And I think I've got the right kind of voice for it, Graeme. It goes up and down for no apparent reason. But are there any other aspects that you think I need?
But, Rob, you can talk the talk, but can you shout?
I'm not quite sure if I know what you mean, Graeme.
As in, hey, it's a car, let's shout!
Let me try it. The new Ford Mondeo. It's 2 litres, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of value for money.
You're going to the top, young man.
I think I can do that.
I want to see you in a road test. Right then, Rob, take it away, son.
I'll do my best.
You love the camera, mate, because the camera loves you.
No problem.
And remember, shout! That's my boy.
Okay, nice and relaxed, Rob. After 3. 1, 2, 3.
So,
put your hands on the wheel.
So we're on our 4th lesson today, Craig. What subjects are we going to cover today?
Today we're going to be covering all weather driving, Ian. We're going to be looking at driving in rain, sleet and snow, mist and fog, and bright sunshine as well.
Before I start the lesson, Craig, is there anything I need to know before we set off?
You need to make sure that you're familiar with the controls of the car. One problem in bad weather conditions is keeping your visibility clear, so we'll be looking at wipers, washers, blowers and lights.
Okay.
So shall we do that now?
Okay.
So first of all, we check out the windscreen wipers, make sure you know where they are.
Okay, on the left-hand side?
Yeah, you just give that a little go, that's it. And then if you want to get some warm air blowing up to the front windscreen,
okay.
Try that.
Okay.
Controls down there. That's it.
Okay.
And you turn that back to warm, that'll be warm enough. Okay, and you need to push the button across so it's opposite the front windscreen icon.
Okay.
Okay. Probably today, while the weather's a little bit poor, it's a bit wet out there, if you want to put your side lights on.
Okay.
What's the purpose of putting your side lights on?
So people can see me.
Good answer, yes. Well, should we drive away then?
Okay. Okay, Craig, for those people who don't know, what are the benefits of doing a course like this, the Pass Plus?
Well, it allows a newly qualified driver to benefit from the extra training as far as picking up new skills. It's an accelerated learning course. It allows a new driver to pick up skills that otherwise might take a long time to actually learn out on the roads.
Okay.
Now, you'll have some experience of the 2-second rule. Do you remember? Can you explain what the 2-second rule is?
The stopping distance between me and the car in front.
Excellent, yes. You know what actually happens to that 2 seconds if it is wet? Does that change at all?
It's a bigger gap that's required between me and the vehicle in front.
It is, yes, God, it's actually doubled, so it's a 4-second gap.
Okay.
Well, we might even test that today if you want to. Okay, you can pull up on the left side, please. Okay, as part of dealing as a driver with adverse weather conditions, it's important that you need to know how to stop the car in an emergency situation on a wet road surface. So we're going to do a little exercise of a low-speed emergency stop.
Okay.
So first of all, we'll go through exactly what causes a skid, how you drive when you're driving in bad weather conditions in relation to emergency situations arising. How you deal with a skid if it's actually occurs.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you need to stop the skid. You need to prevent that from happening. So how would you do that? You get your wheels turning again, basically. Stop the car's wheels from locking up. Now, if you're in an emergency, what do you need to do then? You've got to stop. So, how would you stop the car? How'd you stop the car?
Right.
You brake again.
You just told me not to.
You've got to deal with the skid by releasing the brakes and
Right,
then press on them again.
Okay.
You pump the brakes, in other words. Okay, and so you've got a wet road surface here, and you've got parked cars on the left. What may run from between the parked cars? Possibly.
Children.
Exactly. Very bad pedestrians going off in front of you. So we're going to simulate that happening. Stop!
That was terrible.
Thanks very much. Drive on, please, when you're ready. Do as many as you like.
How could that brake be improved there?
I think you could possibly have braked a little bit more, even with the road conditions as they are today.
So I've come to the end of my all-weather Pass Plus lesson. In my mind, my best lesson yet. But let's get the official verdict from Craig.
So Ian, do you think you've learned anything today?
No, I certainly have. I've certainly learned about skidding and how not to skid.
Yes.
With regards to that. But I feel that possibly could do with a bit more practice.
well, this will be something you need to do maybe in your own car when you get that, and obviously take your time when you're driving in poor weather conditions. That's really the message for today.
Okay. Over the last few weeks, we've followed the university race team as they've built their Formula Ford car. Today, the university team arrive at Alton Park for the big race. Let's see them preparing for their qualifying session.
We tend to test mainly at Alton Park as that's where a lot of the races are this year. And while we are testing, we try and get a good race set up for the next day. We have to change the car quite a lot if it's dry or if it's wet. And we spend a lot of the time just working on the optimum setup for the car.
The car had been laid off for the winter, and whenever you start again, you always expect to have a few sort of cobwebs in there. You know, you had a few electrical problems, a few things with the carburettor and stuff like that. But on the whole, it was okay. This was the first time that the first years were responsible for a car outright. We took the second years along with us to sort of point them in the right direction and give them a bit of advice and what have you. But at the end of the day, the objective was to try and let the first years do everything.
In the practice day before the race, we had quite a few problems. We had to take the gearbox to pieces. We didn't get an awful lot of testing, so we didn't qualify too well. As you can see from the grid slot there, we've got 8th place on the grid, which is 3rd in class. There's 4 cars in between us and the nearest Class B car. So it's going to be hard work trying to catch him to get 2nd place, but hopefully if it rains then we should stand a better chance. We haven't had any problems in scrutineering except for the ride height. I think that's probably the main problem.
Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for, but join us same time next week here on Men and Motors as we bring you all of the regular action, plus more.